This week on Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, we'll look at our favorite movies from 2025. Among the highlights that our panel of critics have picked are some big-budget features, several indie films, perhaps some foreign language movies, plus a few surprises along the way. We'll tell you about a few films that might have completely escaped your attention that you might not ever have heard of, but are well worth a look. It's all coming up. I'm Neil Rosen, and welcome to Talking Pictures. It's our monthly Critic Roundtable show. We debate what's worth watching and what's not. And this time, we're giving you our picks, what we feel are the best movies of 2025. Joining me are Bill McCuddy from the very popular podcast, Sitting Around Talking Movies. As always, do give that a listen. Lisa Rosman is here from the Ruby Report, and my friend Edward Douglas is joining us from the Weekend Warrior. Now we're going to go around the panel with our top 3 movies of the year and some honorable mentions. And we're going to be counting down to number 1. So let's begin with Lisa. What is your third favorite movie of the year, Lisa?
Okay, my third is It Was Just an Accident. It's an Iranian tragic comedy. And one thing I love about it is that it's actually not very neatly categorized. Writer-director Jafar Panahi, mixes tones and genres and fact and fiction to tell what I feel like is kind of a Crime and Punishment meets Waiting for Godot kind of story. And it's about former political prisoners, among them a cab driver, a photographer, a bride, who band together to decide what to do about this extremely cruel prison guard that they stumble upon, or they may have stumbled upon, in civilian life. Panahi himself, the writer-director, has paid an enormous price in his life for his creative freedom. He's even been imprisoned himself in Tehran. But what I find most interesting about this film is that he shows a generosity and a compassion in his filmmaking, which I would describe as expert but unobtrusive. The ending, you have to know, is shocking. And there's been a lot of debates about it. I saw it months ago and I'm still thinking about it.
You know, I saw this film too, and I can't get any two people to agree. After this show, I'm actually going to pull you aside and go, well, did that happen or did that happen? And that's great. It's basically a one-act movie. And I think you should point out the director is doing what he's doing, which is running around the country trying to get some people to vote for this thing in the Oscars. But after that, he's going back to his homeland and he's going to serve a year in prison for making this movie. So it's amazing.
I was kind of an outlier on this movie. I've been familiar with Jafar Panahi for a long time. I feel like the movies he's made in the last few years are not as good as his earlier movies. This one, it was just, to me, it was just too crazy. It was a lot of people yelling at each other. Yeah, there was a great ending.
It's like this show.
Exactly like the show.
Yeah, what, do you not like the show you're on?
Yeah, what's the matter?
What's going on?
But it was like I had just seen another Persian film about interrogators just like literally days earlier, and it was much better done. This one, I understand it. I understand what he was going for. I understand what he was trying to say. I did not love it. It is a great ending, but up until then, it's just like a lot of yelling.
Bill, what's your number 3 movie?
Well, it's Sinners, and Ryan Coogler learned a lot from independent films like Fruitvale Station, and he's learned a lot from blockbusters like Black Panther, and he's put together an amazing musical horror mashup that I think is close to a masterpiece. I mean, and I have talked to so many people that say, well, it's this great musical, and then all of a sudden it turns into this horror film. Well, that's the very point, and it has a great, great ending. It's set in the Deep South during the 30s, so yes, there's a lot of racism in it, that sadly was probably accurate, and it's got a great, great Michael B. Jordan performance playing 2 characters in this thing. I cannot recommend Sinners more.
Film.
Look.
No, to just call it a vampire film.
That's extremely reductive. You know, honestly, I had the biggest...
You're going to say it sucks?
No, I like
No, you should have, because that would have been a good joke.
I like the music, I like the performances, and I like the movie. It just wouldn't make my top 5, let's say, list, but I do like the movie.
You know, I had the biggest fight of the last 10 years with my dad about this movie, who reduced it to just supernatural horror. But to me, that is actually the best genre to tell a story about American history. And, you know, Ryan Coogler, with his love of pageantry and myth, is the perfect person to tackle it. I agree that Michael B. is amazing. He's always good. I think this is a career high for him. And that juke joint scene, it's such a crazy, amazing, I think it's the best scene of 2025. Like, that mixture of surrealism and music, it's off the charts.
Ed, what do you think of Sinners?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, everything you guys said is pretty much mirror. It has a great cast. I think the casting in that movie should win the Oscar in the first year of
Yeah, the whole cast is great. It's not
cast is great.
Amazing.
Everybody focuses on
that's a
Michael
SAG
Keaton, but the
ensemble,
whole cast,
maybe.
the
Oh, yeah.
ensemble's
And
great.
even like the vampire, the villains, Jack O'Connor, who's Jack O'Connor's his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Jack O'Connor. He's really amazing as the villain in this, and I think Ryan Coogler is probably going to keep making great movies like this when he's not doing Black Panther movies.
What do you pick for number 3?
My pick is called Left-Handed Girl. It's Taiwan's submission for the Oscars. We'll probably know fairly soon whether or not it got even shortlisted. But in 2025, Sean Baker won 4 Oscars for Anora and it won Best Picture. And people are probably wondering, what's he going to do next? Well, he was already working on this movie. He co-produced, co-wrote, and edited Left-Handed Girl with the director Shushing. So, I hope I pronounced the name right. It's a movie set in Taiwan. It's set in Taipei at a night market where a single mother is trying to earn a living, earn money for her sick ex-husband. And she has 2 daughters, one older, one younger, who kind of get into all sorts of, I don't want to say escapades, because it's not really that, but it's just an amazing story of this small family, what this mother has to deal with. The young girl, played by Nina Yi, is amazing. She's supposed to be like 7 or 8. And she has like a pretty massive story arc. She's followed, almost carries the movie for a lot of it. I hope people see it. It's been on Netflix for a couple of weeks now, and I hope it gets a nomination because I think it's one of the best movies of the year.
Well, my pick for the number 3 movie of 2025 is something called Roofman, based on an unbelievable but completely true story. Channing Tatum stars as a struggling father who robs McDonald's restaurants for a living by cutting holes in their roof. That's how he earns the nickname Roofman. He eventually gets caught, goes to prison, escapes, and then does something even crazier. He hides out for 6 months inside a Toys R Us, completely undetected. He sleeps there during the day, and at night after the store closes, he survives on eating peanut M&Ms, baby food, and whatever candy he can find. Somehow, and I won't say how for spoiler issues, he falls for a Toys R Us employee, played by Kirsten Dunst, and begins leading a double life. It follows as a fascinating, often funny ride. Tatum is terrific, extremely charismatic, and really carries the film. But Dunst is also very good, and Peter Dinklage is memorable as the uptight store manager. The fact that this actually happened makes it even more enjoyable. Roofman had a very short theatrical run, but it's streaming now, and it's absolutely worth checking out. I love this one.
I don't think its run was short enough. I mean, honestly,
Really?
yeah. I
It's
mean,
so much fun.
the movie rests entirely on the charisma and acting chops of Channing Tatum,
Which is great.
which I think are gravely overestimated in this
wow.
case.
There's a documentary you can
You
see that's
liked
very
it. We
similar.
talked
Yeah, I
about
do.
it.
I wouldn't
The
be on my
doc
top
is
10
interesting.
list.
Watch the doc.
I actually liked Roofman. I saw it, back when it came out. I saw it a couple times. I talked to Derek Cianfrance, who's a director who made Blue Valentine way back in the day.
Those are great movies.
Yes,
His
yes.
earlier stuff is so much better than this.
To me, it's like, so what's wrong with him making a commercial movie, like a movie that will reach a wider audience than something like Blue Valentine? I love Blue Valentine too. This one, I think he took what he's learned from making these art house movies, and he made a really good commercial.
And he made a
film.
really softball, boring movie. Congratulations,
I didn't
Jared.
think it was boring at all. I didn't think it was boring at all. Yeah.
All right, around the panel we go again. Lisa, what's the second spot on your list?
Okay, my second spot is The Testament of Anne Lee, and for sure, this 18th century set dance musical about the female founder of the Shaker movement will not be for everybody. But I am actually obsessed with its big swings, its striking visuals, its very dramatic exploration of the thin line between religion and cult, and between trauma and transcendence. Amanda Seyfried is amazing. She plays Anne Lee, who is a woman from a poor, rough English family who loses all 4 of her children and then goes on to lead a very out there religious movement to the Americas before this country was even fully founded. This film is in 70 millimeter. It's directed by Mona Fastvold, who directed World to Come, and actually co-wrote her husband's movie, The Brutalist. And this whole film is as lush as it's brutal. It's basically like if a female liberationist made a Terrence Malick movie that was also a Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation video.
Well, I'm sure we all really
Another
like
one of
that.
those?
Like I said, not for everyone, but very much for me.
Ed, you saw it.
Yeah, and I was one of everyone was not for. I lasted an hour and I walked out.
Love it. Love.
All right, well, Bill, give me your number 2.
Well, it's kind of my number 2, and we'll explain in a second. Hamnet is, to me, the slam dunk Oscar, no question about it, for Jessie Buckley, who plays Mrs. William Shakespeare to Paul Mescal. They're living in the rural part of some place where nobody takes a bath. It doesn't matter. The first part of this movie about how they meet, fall in love, get married, and how he runs off to London, apparently he was an absent kind of father, and Jessie Buckley is giving birth to 3 kids in this film, and also coming to see that after their child has died, Hamlet, who the movie is named after, but Hamnet, those names were interchangeable back then, she wanders into a stage where this is being produced. And the last 10 minutes of the film are absolutely mesmerizing as she goes through the process of having never seen a stage production before, now not understanding what her husband's been doing for all this time, but suddenly understanding and then feeling, not just seeing what's happening on stage. This to me is maybe the best movie of the year. I'm calling it number 2, and I'll explain in a second.
I think this is such an overrated movie. I was bored with this film. I mean, we have Shakespeare, who's working in his father's leather shop, and a tutor, and the next thing, with no explanation whatsoever, he's building the Globe Theater.
People
and he's a
right on the
master
side.
playwright.
I don't understand that.
And
criticism.
she's like giving birth and crying, and I mean,
you don't want her to give birth?
No, I'm just bored with the movie. I was just not.
I have to say, I agree
in the film.
I agree.
I don't think it's a horrible film.
No, I agree with you that it's not a great film. I just think your reasons are not great.
Well, since you agree with me,
I just don't understand making a movie about William Shakespeare that is so wildly inarticulate and generic. Like, I mean, it's basically not. I mean, the last 10 minutes, I agree with you.
It's not about him, though. It's about her.
Okay, but why? Like, I mean, that's sort of my point. Is that if you're going to make a movie about literally the most articulate man, arguably in the history of English language,
they haven't made
the
that movie about me yet.
Stop everything. We have to just make fun of him for the rest of the show.
That's not to be.
It's funny because Jessie Buckley plays like the worst theater audience ever. She goes to the theater, starts talking, people are shushing her.
She's never been to a theater. She doesn't even understand what's happening.
When I was 4 years old and went to the theater for the first time, I didn't go in there.
Okay, well, this isn't about how great you are either.
Maybe they should make that movie about Ed.
But I have to say, I did see the movie a second time. After we spoke last time, I did see the movie again. I still have a problem with the first hour.
Ed, what's your second favorite movie of the year?
My second favorite movie is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. We talked about it a lot already.
But let's talk about it again.
Okay, but it's
your second favorite movie.
Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. It takes place before he made the Nebraska record, and it's a really quiet movie. It's not like the big rock movie as somebody was expecting. It basically has him kind of dealing with childhood trauma. And for me, it was just really fascinating to see someone like Bruce Springsteen, who I've never been a huge fan of, just seeing this part of his life that maybe he was dealing with some parts of his life that maybe a lot of people have to deal with. And just the fact that they focused on that aspect of it really kind of moved me. I've not listened to Nebraska still. I still haven't heard the record.
So good.
I know. It's one of those records I should listen to, but it was a movie that I've seen a few times now, and I'm really impressed with all the performances. And I really like what they were doing with the movie, even though it didn't do as well at box office as some people hoped, I think.
I mean, this is that rare occasion where we're going to agree on something, because I think it's a brilliant distillation of Bruce's story. I think narrowing down the whole of Bruce to the making of Nebraska is a perfect way to distill that kind of juxtaposition that he has between anthemic rock star and kind of lone wolf depressive.
I like that version of him better. I think I like that.
Same here.
Star.
And I agree with you. I've always liked his quieter albums better. And I think I just love that this is a music biopic that isn't the classic rags to riches to rehab story that you usually get.
Well, my number 2 movie of the year is One Battle After Another. It was written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, a filmmaker who for me can be hit or miss. Some of his films I love, some of them I really hate. This one is terrific. The film opens in the past with Leonardo DiCaprio as part of a radical revolutionary group spreading chaos and violence across the United States. The group is convinced that real change can only come about through force and violence. Fast forward 16 years later, and Leo is now living a mellow, stoner-style life, raising his teenage daughter. When she's suddenly kidnapped, his past violently catches up with him, and he's forced back into a world with what he left behind years ago. He's determined to get her back at any cost. I can't say much more without spoiling it, but it's an action thriller with lots of violence, but also has a sense of humor running throughout it. The performances are excellent across the board, DiCaprio's terrific, and the supporting cast is excellent, which includes Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, who's especially memorable as a strange, intimidating military figure, Chase Infinity as his daughter, and Tiana Taylor, who has a wild storyline of her own. It's close to 3 hours, but the film really moves. Lisa?
You know I love this movie. You know,
So
this
you
year,
agree with me?
Oh, 100%.
There you
Like this,
go.
you know, this is the year where we've all started to wonder, are we going to continue to be able to see movies on a big screen? And this film is the kind of thing that's an argument for why we need that big screen. It's messy, it's sprawling, it takes up all the space it should, it's got big heart, and it's timely without being trendy.
I like this movie a lot, but I think Sean Penn, I have to disagree, is wildly over the top.
He's so good.
He thinks he's
This
in
is
Doctor
great.
Strangelove,
She won an Oscar.
and his storyline comes out of a movie called Parallax View with
Which I
Warren
also
Beatty,
love.
which I love.
Great reference.
Beatty,
This is
great movie.
This is a good, not great movie.
Ed?
Yeah, I like the movie a lot. I think if this season with the Oscars, I think we're going to see Sinners, One Battle After Another. We're going to be hearing them back and forth, because I think those are the two best movies of the year. The nice thing about One Battle After Another is it might finally get Paul Thomas Anderson an Oscar win, hopefully, because he's never won one after a lot of time. I actually saw the movie in VistaVision, which is a big deal they made out of it. The fact that he shot in VistaVision. And there was a theater downtown where it literally had a projector and showed in VistaVision, and it was sold out like for weeks.
Well, that
That's
comes back to
awesome.
the argument of go back to the
Yeah,
movies.
we got to go to theaters
I
to
agree
see it,
with
which is
Lisa.
great.
That is the way to. You don't
And
want to
One
see
Battle
this.
After Another is what a lot of people call this show.
Well, this brings us to our best number one movie of the year. Lisa, what is your favorite movie of the year?
My favorite movie is Sentimental Value. So, okay, and I know that Bill also loves this
Wait
one. We'll
your
get
turn.
into it. So between this movie and 2021's Worst Person in the World, Joachim Trier has become one of my favorite living directors. I love his full embrace of the medium of film. I think it's unusual. And I really love that his sense of humor and his really stylish storytelling innovations never distract him from digging really deep into topics that don't get discussed a lot in modern cinema, like how to balance selfishness and fear with intimacy, how lonely it is to be alive, how terrifying the specter of death is. I mean, this guy always digs into that stuff. And in this film, which is basically about a father who is a director who screwed up with his kids, who wants to make a movie with his actor daughter, and ends up substituting in Elle Fanning, who's a movie star from America. You know, I mean, he gets even more out there. And I think it's his most fully evolved film yet. There's less of the smoke and mirrors than you find in some of his other movies. But he does allow a house to be a central character, which is kind of like a brick and mortar metaphor that shifts through time and moods and traumas and celebrations. And he uses unbelievably seamless cinematography and editing to kind of climb stairs and turn corners and enter different chapters of these characters' lives. This guy is excellent in embracing the form of cinema, but what I think makes his work unparalleled is that he always brings the same depth of feeling.
Bill?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. People that watch this show hate when we agree. This is also my number one movie of the year. And for all of the reasons that you already said. My curveball, where we're going to disagree, is that it ties for me with Hamnet. I think I couldn't really pick a winner of the two. But I will say in this case that Renata Reinzeve and Stellan Skarsgård give Oscar-worthy performances as the best dysfunctional father-daughter maybe ever on screen. And this film does a magical thing that doesn't give anything away when I say it shows you a scene in the middle of it and it shows you the same scene at the end. And what magic happens in that transformation from the first time it's done to the second makes this absolutely slam dunk.
I get
one of the
chills
best,
just thinking about
one of the
it.
best
It's
films
so
of the
good.
year.
What did you think of this movie?
Yeah, it's taken me a long time to become a fan of Trier. A lot of people loved his earlier movies. I think it was Worst Person in the World that kind of turned me
It
on
broke
him.
him out, yeah.
But this movie is just next level. This movie is just he has a great cast. It's
Wow.
a really interesting story, really original. I remember seeing Noah Baumbach's Jay Healy, and then I saw this after, and I was like, yeah, this is a much better version of that, what Noah Baumbach was trying to do. And
It kind of is.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm not going to tear this movie apart. I'm going to say,
don't
do
do us
can't.
any favors.
Listen.
Who would listen?
I think it's a decent movie, but I think it's overrated. And I think the great movie is his last movie, is Trier's last movie, which I loved, which was on my 10 best list, The Worst Person in the World.
No, Ed
With
just
the
said
same-
it wasn't as good as this, and he's right. And that's the same actress, by the way. So she's a lot better in this than she was.
She
in
just
that.
brings a lot more
Great in that.
texture.
Was everything overrated for you this year?
Yeah.
What did you like?
Neil, do you have any other words besides boring and overrated?
I didn't say it was boring.
You're
I
overrated.
said
You're boring.
I said I wasn't going to tear it apart. I'm just saying I think that his last movie with the same actress, Renata, is just a much better movie. This one
All
was
right.
overrated.
All right.
It's okay.
Go
All right,
climb
you're,
into a
you're
Ed,
inclined to your
all right.
wrong opinion.
All right, Ed, what is your favorite movie of the year?
My favorite movie of the year is Blue Moon. It's the latest collaboration between Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke. They've made probably like 5 or 6 movies together at this point, and they really have worked together really well. This is a movie about Lorenz Hart, who is the writing partner of
Richard
Rogers. It takes place on the opening night of Oklahoma, which Richard Rogers did with Oscar Hammerstein. And it basically just follows Lorenz Hart's journey. He's basically just hanging out at Sardi's all night. It's a one-place movie. It's all about the writing, all about Ethan Hawke's performance. And over the course of the night, we literally see Lorenz Hart go through like all these different stages, ending with him like declaring his love for Margaret Qualley's character and her completely spurning him. And it's heartbreaking, especially when you know what happened to Lorenz Hart afterwards.
I love this movie. It was very short. He was like Danny DeVito size. And they dug trenches, which you don't see, obviously, in the camera because it's shot entirely. They recreated.
On a stage in one bar. That's really an accomplishment.
Sorry. No, but they raised the photographs to make it.
But they did it practically. That was really, yeah.
His performance is incredible as a closet man. And when Oklahoma came out in the 40s, I mean, you know, he was completely jealous of Rogers taking on Hammerstein as a partner. And Bobby Cannavale is the bartender, and he's just saying how much he hated Oklahoma. Then everybody comes in, and he's like, oh, what a great masterpiece you made. And he's all messed up. And I think the performance is phenomenal. And I think if you like Broadway musicals and vintage Broadway musicals, I think the whole thing is a tremendous time capsule. My number one pick is the movie Begonia. Director Yorgos Lanthimos and actress Emma Stone, who last teamed up for the movie Poor Things, re-team here. And it's a wacky, wild ride that I found thought-provoking, funny, and thoroughly enjoyable. It's about a conspiracy-obsessed young man, played by Jesse Plemons, and his obedient cousin, who kidnapped the high-powered CEO of a major company, convinced that she's an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. Now, if this sounds off the wall, it is. But what makes it work is not only the great performances by Stone and Plemons, but the dark satirical script that's brought to full throttle life by Lanthimos. There's a lot of violence here. In the midst of the humorous satire and the plot, takes some surprising twists and turns. Plus, the ending is really satisfying, making some incisive comments about the human race. If you like the sensibility and sense of style in Poor Things, then you're going to really like Begonia. It's the better movie. Of all the movies I saw this year, which was not a particularly good year for films, in my opinion, Begonia was my favorite one.
Okay.
You're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, because Yorgos has been making movies at a completely breakneck pace this millennium, and it may be time for him to take a break. This film was a misanthropic junk pile with a super cotton-headed ending that made no sense.
Oh, you're so wrong.
I agree about the ending, and it didn't earn that ending. And I don't want to know certain things. If you tell me off camera something's happening, but when you have to do that ending to it and show it to me, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, this is my favorite movie of Yorgos Lanthimos. I feel like
Thank you.
I have not been a fan of some of his other movies. No,
movies, but not this one.
This is the only one I've actually enjoyed enough to watch twice. This is actually based on a South Korean film that I reviewed like 20 years ago. It's a much better version of that story, has much better performances, much better script. I thought it was crazy as some of his other stuff, but I still think it was a much better, also very enclosed, just 3 people in a room often. And I kind of like those movies.
Well, those were our favorite 3 movies of the year. We didn't all agree, but there are honorable mentions. Very quickly, Ed, what are some other movies that you like this year that would be on your, let's say, top 10 list?
I'm afraid to say at this point, but no. But yeah, my other movies I really loved. I loved F1 the movie with Brad Pitt. I loved The Ballad of Wallace Island, which is like a British rom-com. Yeah. Carey Mulligan co-stars in it.
Yeah, very cute.
Life of Chuck.
So good. Love Life of Chuck.
Life of Chuck is like based on a Stephen King short story. Song Sung Blue, which I think we spoke about last time, so we're going to cover more. And also there's a movie called The Threesome, which is called by Chad Hartigan, which I don't think anyone I know has seen. It's not a raunchy R-rated sex comedy, as the title might imply. It actually is a very thoughtful character drama with some humor.
All I'll just say about F1 is I thought the story was kind of dopey, but from a filming standpoint, I really did feel like I was in the seat with the race car driver.
Yeah, I was way more into that movie than I expected.
I saw it in IMAX, and I have to say that is the way to see it.
Bill, what are some other movies that you like to see?
Well, I saw a couple of years ago a movie called Cha Cha Real Smooth with Dakota Johnson in it, and so I'm really happy to say 2 of her movies are my honorable mentions this year. One is Materialist, which we've talked about on the show.
That movie.
The other one is called Splitsville.
That movie is
nobody
wild.
Saw,
I saw that.
I love that film.
It's wild.
She's become really good at the low-key, toss-away humor. And she's kind of breathy, and she sort of is in one area. She has a narrow lane, but in that narrow lane, she is in some amazing films. These are two of them.
I'm a Johnson fan. I really like this movie called The Secret Agent, and this has been a year of resistance movies. And
I didn't get that.
This movie is 1970s Brazilian set. It's kind of like a companion to Battle After Another, like another single dad who's been forced into hiding after taking a stand. I really liked it. I'm with you. I thought Life of Chuck was surprisingly great. And I also loved One Battle After Another. You boys picked my honorable mentions.
Well, I would pick some honorable mentions. A movie that came and went. I did not like the original movie. I did not like the Broadway musical. But the film
Kiss.
version of Kiss of the Spider Woman, I thought was great.
Yes.
And I thought Diego Luna was terrific. I think J-Lo.
Hard Hollywood tried to make her seem on
But the breakout star in that, and please pronounce his name for me, Lisa, if you can. Because I can't do it.
Google it, folks. We're not
Tonatiuh.
sure.
Tonatiuh. I mean, this guy was amazing.
I'm with you. I think this is the best movie Bill Condon's ever made, actually. I can't believe it got so little love.
I know. I like Wicked for Good. It was not. It was
You're
not,
the one.
Well, light, breezy, and fun like the first one, but it was deep, dark, and thought-provoking. I like that. I like the documentary Stiller and Mirror, Nothing Is Lost, talking about.
Agree. That's a
really good movie.
Ben Stiller talking about his famous parents who were a comedy
That's
team.
good.
But since we also do limited series that are streaming, and I recommend this to everybody. I love the series called Pluribus.
It's so good.
Which is by Vince Gilligan,
So
who did
good.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and has a very similar sensibility in terms
He
of...
so seldom is right, but listen to him on this one.
This movie, and it also has a female central character.
She's so good, Ray Seymour.
Sometimes
is
by
so
herself.
great in
Yeah,
that.
I mean, she's unbelievable.
Yes, but this is my gift to you. See Pluribus on Apple TV.
Is this show still on?
Okay.
Well, no, it's not,
They'll look for
because
lunch.
that's about all the time we have. And I want to thank Bill McCuddy and Lisa Rosman and Edward Douglas, and I'm Neil Rosen, and join us next time on Talking Pictures.